Alright, today's video is going to be a little bit funny because I don't have the rule book for this, but I've played it and I have remnants of my time of play. Like, I sold the army. I wasn't the game master of the role-playing game, so I don't have any actual rule books for this. I'm very sorry. But, let me tell you about it. This game had a role-playing game, a skirmish miniatures game. They released a video game, although I'm pretty sure last I looked that game was deader than doornail. And I do believe there was even a webcomic once, or something like a few novels. But in any case, that is how much investment the creators of this, Edge, now I think it's the original Edge Studios. I'm not sure if the present Edge Studios is the same company as the one that exists now that works with Fantasy Flight Games. There was a sub-studio called Cypher Studios. So if that line connects, they're both the same company. If not the same name, different company. But in any case, this game is one that isn't quite dead because there are extremely small cults of players hidden all over the place. In Spain, on the west coast of the United States, because this game ties into something. There's a lot of people that actually have interest in the subject matter. This game was made to pattern after, and that was Anima. Now, Anima Tactics came in three forms. The video game, which I'm not going to cover that. I had no contact with it. The role-playing game, which came a little bit afterwards because it was a huge translation effort. It first came out in the mid-2000s in Spanish. Later, after a long effort, we got the English version, and that was available in the United States in like 2008, 2009. And so, congratulations, English players are able to actually pick up that thick tome of a book and start playing with it. The book is not a small volume. The Anima Beyond Fantasy role-playing game came in at a hefty 300 plus pages of small text, full color pages throughout. This is a character sheet for the role-playing game, Anima Beyond Fantasy. Now, to show, the other part of the game was, that I know of, was a miniatures game. They don't translate directly, but they are designed to be generally copacetic to one another. The role-playing game was crunchy. As you can see here, you have 8 basic stats. You have 3 that derive off of that, but then you have an initiative chart up here, where you finalize your initiative. Your life points, which also includes something called the NO multiplier. I have no clue what that was, but if I remember correctly, I had to deal with creatures that had a shit ton of life and who could essentially shrug off instant death. So that was a thing. Your weaponry was kind of very similar to 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons. Same thing with the skills. And if you looked at the back of the character sheet, you saw you had things that you may or may not have use for. Like I had no paths of magic. I had no magic projection. I had some psychic potential and stuff because I used Ki. My character, I think that was Warrior Mentalist. My character was half warrior, but had a little bit of psionic techniques he could use to help him out here and there. All in all, I didn't get along to playing this character very much. I had one technique. I pretty much had a short sword that I could use. Not a very high-level character at all, so it was kind of interesting to play this guy. But this is the general gist of the Anima Tactics role-playing game. It was percentile-based. And I don't know if it was the GM or if it was the game itself, but I once rolled 3 higher than the enemy character did to hit the enemy character, and my GM told me, "No, you didn't hit him." Really? In most role-playing games, if you roll higher than the enemy character, that should be a sign that you actually touched the guy and did some damage to him. Just tapping him with your sword, that can get annoying. That really can. I did make a character later, in 2011, for like a Final Fantasy style campaign, and even though he was a technician class, which is all about the special attack techniques, he's a warrior of light according to his actual in-game class designation. So in the campaign, it was Final Fantasy, and he was a warrior of light. And then as you can see, I only had 2 of the techniques out. Me and the GM had come up with a tree of techniques for warriors of light to use, and so I had that printed out. And I think I had like just 2 of these first type and none of the higher abilities here. But it was really cool that this game did allow you to make your own attack techniques. You could make your own spells. There was a lot of customization and modular work you could do with the game, but it was a hefty, chunky game with a lot of different rules to go through. As you can see, this isn't a light character sheet. It's simple. It's got 2 sides. And this is even one where we customized the back so it fit my character. Look at all that technique space. This is definitely not just your ordinary run-of-the-mill. Yeah, it's an RPG game. This is definitely a very thick role-playing game. Now I'm going to show you more about the war game, because the war game actually did have some pretty interesting things to it. This game actually was rather fun. The miniatures were highly detailed. It did have some issues with general clarity of the rules. So the card had a few statistics on there. This was your 2-hit roll. You added that to a d10. That was your damage. It was a flat modifier. That was your 2-hit value. That was your armor value, your health value. So multiple hits would detract from that. This is kind of like a willpower roll or a brains roll. There are certain effects that would roll higher than that to do their effects. You had a walking and running. I think that was in centimeters, not inches. Although it may have been in inches, in which case that's a fast-moving boy. But what you would typically do is this would fill up this blue number of points per turn. So if you sat there for a turn, next turn you'd have a full 5. It wouldn't go over. It would just max out. But what you could do in your first turn is like, let's say you gain your 3 points. You'd go defend yourself and then do a basic attack. So you'd be down to 2 bubbles, right? And then what you'd do is next turn when you got your 3 back, you'd have a full stack and nothing was overspent, right? So you could then do that and have 2 left over. And then of course next turn you'd get it again. You see how this is going, right? So you could actually have some strategy to this game. And it was really fun. I did keep some of the miniatures for this game. I did sell 2 armies. I had a Wissenschaft army, and then I forgot what I even called the thing, but it was that Beast faction army, the one you get in the starter set. But this is the guy I just showed you the card for. This is Jing Pao. And I did kind of mess up and put like a little bit too much gloss on this guy, and there wasn't enough dull coat to get rid of the glossiness. But I did my best to try to paint him and make him look good. He's a good miniature. He's got a lot of motion to him. I really appreciate that. So there he is, and he's pretty cool. The first miniature I ever got, though, was this guy. And he's pretty much a dark version of Jing Pao that I just showed you. But he does have a cool looking miniature. Look at this guy. He's just an edgelord. He's just a psychotic edgelord guy who just also has too much gloss coat on him. But those knives, the way his belts are arranged, the fact he's just got his, he just looks cool. He's very much like what you would expect an Abyssal Exalted to look like, or some villain from a JRPG campaign. So that was Harad, and he was the first miniature I ever bought. The most sought-after miniature was this girl, Celia. If you look at her abilities, they're kind of basic, but she's got good modifiers, and she's a pretty simple tool to use, so most people really liked her. I have her original miniature. She did come with a pinup miniature. It was, more sexy, but she's just a girl with a lot of, midriff and a little bit of underboob, and yay. I gave her blonde dye hair instead of the white hair she has on the card, so it's cool to have her. That's why I didn't sell her with my Wissenschaft army, because, she was a sought-after miniature, so I was like, I'm going to keep her. I had Derek Shazad. Derek Shazad is cool. His miniature is kind of cooler. This guy would make a great exalted character. Just look at this guy. He's like, I am coming to destroy you. I am the Lord of all I see. So he'd make a great villain and or epic level character. He's a pretty cool guy. They made this guy. He was kind of a dark samurai knight. But, of course, I was in the L5R. So when I got the miniature, I put the guy in the Aijitsu stance in Crane Clan colors. So you can see there he is in all his glory. All Crane Clan-like. I tried to do some directional shading on this guy, but it didn't work too well. That's why some of the color looks funny here and there. They made a set of characters. The one broke. I went and looked, and he broke in the package. Didn't want to repair him. But I have Takanosuke and Kujaku Hime. They were characters, and they come with a team card. Here's their team card. You could play them together, and these effects would kick in. And I think that, they had additional bubble use there from Takanosuke. And this one was just something that she could do, Kujaku Hime. So you could also do this. If you gave an evil Orochi seal to Takanosuke, at one point in the game he would be unfriendly to Kujaku Hime, but at least he had some cool special abilities you can pull off. Kujaku Hime had like a single cast figure, or maybe it was a single cast in the arm. Hopefully she looks good. I mean, I put a lot of effort into painting her. Yeah, she has some underbutt there. The people that made this game, I swear, some of the miniatures were just designed for eye candy. There was this one sniper girl in a ball gown, and she comes with, you had to put the ball gown on in 2 parts, and in the back of the ball gown, she has like lingerie butt from the other direction. Like, why did you do this? Either just, make her have like the 2 clamps come from either side and cover the legs in the middle, or, just make it a solid thing with no butt in there. If you want there to be a butt option, at least allow her to not have like the front of her dress stuck to it, right? So it was one of those things where the people who designed this game obviously were horny anime fans, and you can kind of tell. Their miniatures were highly detailed, they're fun to paint, and you can see how much detail I tried to throw into Kujaka Hime here. This is an old paint job of mine. This is a good 13-year-old paint job. So, yeah. It's good just for fun purposes, too. I don't have this girl's card. She comes in the starter set. Her name is Shinigami Aiel or something like that. Or Aiel. I forgot which one it is. But she doesn't fit on a base because her scythe is too damn big. But I like her. She's pretty cool. And I just painted her up. She belongs to that Beastman faction that I had. I forgot what they're called. I know one of their characters was named Bale, but it's not the Bale faction. It's like the Chimera faction or something. It's something like that. And I just got her and painted her up because she looked cool. But she doesn't fit on anything, So there's that. Talking about large bases, they did make the Demon Konosuke. Konosuke is not going to fit on this card. He is a big boy. I converted him. As you can see, there is a lot of technique work that I had to put in this boyo. He's carrying the sword from Oni no Yakumo for the Clan War line. So, yeah, and it kind of wobbles. Oh my god. Thank god it's pinned, right? It goes right through. If that ever falls off, I know how to fix it, though. But yeah, I put a lot of effort in this boyo. He's a really cool guy. And I wanted to make sure he was worth looking at. I like making high-end miniatures that just look cool. And that's exactly what this guy turned out to be. So yeah, there's Konosuke. And there's other miniatures out there, too, that are really fun to find. Like, I don't have the card for this guy, but this is the Legacy of Solomon, a mecha they made for the game. They made like 2 or 3 mecha. And as you can see, he's the wrong scale. No one's going to fit inside this miniature. But he looks cool. And I don't have his card or anything. He came with like 3 or 4 cards. And he has a bunch of cool special abilities you can do in the game. But I just bought him. I had him laying around for a bit. I painted this guy up after I sold my armies. As you can tell, his base kind of looks like he's standing on clouds. Like he's like billions of miles tall. But it's just designed to look like he's up there in the air. He didn't come with a flying base, so what do you know? But yeah, so Anima Tactics had some freaking cool miniatures. And you can see right here and now, I mean, this is some good detail. These are some good guys. They tend to go for collector's prices. I think the lowest price you'll find one for is like $9. They average about $15 to $20. But yeah, the miniatures line is really fun. You can use them for Exalted, you can use them for Big Eyes Small Mouth, or any JRPG or TTRPG you've grabbed that you want to put more, detailed artistic spin on. These miniatures are really high quality. They go for collector's prices, but I think for a few touches here and there, even though they've really thinned out the availability because this game's been out of print for a while, they're still really fun to get. That's Anima Tactics and Anima Beyond Fantasy in a nutshell here. It was fun while it lasted. If you are still a player of Anima Tactics or of Anima Beyond Fantasy, please put some commentary talking about your stories of playing this game in the comments, because it's been a while for me. It's been 10 or more years since I've played this game. And honestly, I would like to hear what you have as far as your experience with playing this game. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll look forward to reading your commentary.